much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness which creates and animates all things. After years of exploring this awe-inspiring truth on this podcast, I'm super excited to announce that we are now going even deeper down the rabbit hole on the new late-night style consciousness-elevating talk show called Optimistic, which features none other than you, the listeners. Optimistic is taped out of the epic spaceship-esque 8-bedroom property we call the Mystic Manor that myself and the rest of the Optimistic crew now navigate reality from in Venice Beach, California. And you are invited to come experience a Mystic Manor immersion week with us. During your week-long stay, you'll enjoy unique workshops, chef-prepared meals, one-on-one time coaching and consulting with me, and even co-creating magic with me as a guest on both Optimistic and an episode of the Positive Head podcast. When I started this, my aim with these immersive retreats was to facilitate the ultimate spiritual upgrade and tune-up, so to speak, for our guests while providing them with one of the most memorable experiences of their lives. And I'm happy to say that as of this recording, every guest at the end of their trip so far has told me that they have had a profound and transformational experience at the Mystic Manor and that they definitely want to come back. All that being said, we only have a limited number of spots available between now and next July. And as of this recording, about half of those spots are already filled. So if there's any part of you that is screaming, yes, I want to come, I feel like I need to be there, go now and book a slot with me to discuss how we can put our heads together and make it happen at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. I know for some people, there is also that little voice in their head saying, why not? I can't get off work. I can't afford it, and on and on and on. But, really Henry Ford, I think, said it best. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I'm confident that where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm personally committed to doing everything in my power, including discounts and payment plans, to get you here if it is something that truly feels like a huge yes for you energetically and like you're meant to be here. Once again, the link to book time to discuss with me is calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. That's spelled calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. All one word, of course. And book in some time and look forward to seeing you soon here at the Mystic Manor.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've had a lot on my mind recently, and so much so that it's kind of hard to figure out what to talk about because I want to talk about so many different things. But the one thing that's been coming up a lot in my awareness is people's interests in QHHT, Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. So I've seen a few posts on the Facebook group lately, and I also got a message yesterday from Tanya who was asking me more about QHHT. So I thought, perfect. That just totally lit my fire to do an episode about QHHT. So Tanya, thank you so much for co-creating this episode with me. So I have been practicing QHHT since 2013. And I've learned a whole lot since then. Definitely gone through a process with my understanding with this technique, as I see many others doing as well. And we'll get into that in a minute. But first, let me talk about what this technique actually is. And actually, before I forget, I wanted to let you all know, anyone who's local to the Phoenix general area, I'm going to be conducting a group past life regression workshop on November 23rd from 4 p.m. till 5:30 p.m. at Abundant Space in Scottsdale, Arizona. So if you'd like to get a taste of QHHT, if you're local, please come and join me. It'll be a fun event. Even if you've done past life regressions before, it's always fun to participate in the group. So now, QHHT. It's a form of hypnosis created by Dolores Cannon. She began studying hypnosis back in the days when it was just the regular old stop smoking, lose weight type of hypnosis. And one day, one of her clients went into a past life. So she started to explore that. And she kept exploring it. And as she kept exploring it, she found that she could help people to access their subconscious with this technique. And over 40 years, she honed and honed and honed this technique for it to be what it is today. This is a healing technique. This is not only a past life regression technique, and although that is part of it, the big part of it is contact with your higher self or your subconscious or the part of you that knows everything, has the answers to all of your questions. It is your inner being. It is that part of you that is always one with Source. Being able to connect with this allows you to get the answers that you need for your life, your life's purpose, why you've experienced the things in life that you've experienced. So many of us who have been through traumatic experiences, and really, none of us in this human existence get away from trauma. It might be mild trauma, it could be severe trauma, but none of us get away from it. We all question why. Why did this happen to me? And with QHHT, we can find out why. We can find out what the higher purpose to these things in our life are. What is the higher purpose? What is the big thing that we are supposed to be learning? What is the lesson? And the beautiful thing about this technique is it takes the conscious mind and just sets it aside, allows it to just be quiet. So the higher mind, the higher self, the subconscious, whatever you want to call it, can speak. And that's where you get the answers to everything. And so you can imagine with having hundreds and maybe even thousands of other life experiences, that when you go into a session like this, you never know what you're going to get. Best part about it, your higher self is in charge. The moment you start even thinking about wanting to have a session like this, your higher self is working with you. Where do you think you got that idea, right? So you make the appointment, and now your higher self steps into full gear. And now you start communicating with your higher self, although you might not even realize that that's what you're doing. But you're already starting to ask the questions that you would like clarity on. And so when you go in for your session and you go into your other life, past life, future life, simultaneous, other parallel life experience, whatever it may be, it can be anything. But when you do that, this technique guides you exactly to the most appropriate time and place for you to see what you need to see for what's going on in your life now. That's what's so beautiful about it. Past life regression is easy. We can go and look at all those different lives all day. Really fun, very interesting. Your higher self is still at work. They're always working with you, right? But there's a way to get really specific. When your higher self knows that you have this guide to work with you and ask questions, it's going to show you the real meat, the real stuff that you need to see in order for your soul's development. So this is why sessions are so beautiful, so magical, and so transformative and healing. Because why do we get sick? Why does our body experience symptoms or pain or disease? Ultimately, it is because it is something that the mind has not processed, that has landed within the energetic density. It is densified into the body. It wasn't processed as energy alone, so now it is in part of the body to make you pay attention to it. You don't get away in this life with just ignoring and shushing it away. It shows up right in your body. So now you have to deal with it. And how do we deal with it? We can run around on the hamster wheel and treat the body all day. And that can work a little bit on the mind. It truly can. They work back and forth, right? But the real place is to get to the mind. Why is this happening? Why am I creating this in my body? What is this trying to tell me? So through a session, you can get to this place where your higher self can tell you exactly why and show you another scenario, another existence that gives you a clear picture, some guidance towards why you're experiencing what you're experiencing now. There's so many different reasons. We're not going to get into all the different ones because there's other things I want to get into about this today. But I'll tell you what, in all my years of experience, although at the beginning I did have some of my own doubt, I stay true or have come back to and firmly believe in how valuable and how magical and how beautiful and how transformative this technique is. Because I've seen firsthand what it can do. As a naturopathic physician, practicing for over, how many years now? 15-ish. It was really hard for me to watch people stay sick, doing all the physical things we could possibly do naturopathically, like the most powerful things, all of the things. But people still stayed sick because we weren't able to get to that place in the mind where they understood. Now, the mind is such a complicated place, and it's really important when we're working with this technique to have a good understanding of how the mind works, at least in its basics. And how the mind works is, it is our most powerful tool. Our will, our focus, our intention is our greatest power. Besides love, of course. But with our thoughts, we create. And so if we understand this and we believe this to be the case, then we also understand that whatever we create, we can uncreate and recreate. We can do whatever we want with the power of our mind. And we have to understand how powerful our own emotions are and how we are using them, how we are focusing our thoughts into what we're actually creating. And so with this technique, we can get a beautiful, clear picture of what we're doing with our thoughts, with our emotions, and what we're creating in our lives. So I think if there ever was a magic pill, because there's really not, there's not a magic pill. Everything takes personal work, responsibility. Even though this technique is the closest thing to a magic pill that I know of, it is still not a magic pill because you have to do the work. You still need to believe in what your higher self is telling you. when you leave that session, do you doubt what you've been told? A lot of people do. And it's human nature, and it's totally all right. It's part of the learning process. I think it's an actual requirement of the learning process, actually. We got to doubt a little so we can really have that firm belief, right? Got to see the contrast. Okay, let me switch gears for a sec. First, let's talk about if you wanted to think about becoming a practitioner, you want to lead people, guide people into these experiences. You want to help in healing. You have a big heart and you just want to help. You're a perfect candidate to learn this technique. All you really need is a big open heart and want to help people. Learning this technique is very easy, just as easy as it is to do it. And so I encourage any of you who want to learn to go to the official website, the only website to learn this technique. It's QHHTofficial.com. And that is also the website that you can go to if you like to find a practitioner to have a session with. And there are 3 different levels of practitioners that you will find on the website. And level 1 are just beginning. And actually, if price is a concern of yours, a lot of the level 1 interns are doing sessions for free. They need guinea pigs, essentially. So if you're up for that, and you're open to it, and you want to do a free session, look for someone in your area. Just go to that website. Now, the further along on the levels that you get just means that they have honed their technique a little bit more. So after level 1 is, of course, level 2. In level 2, we really learn how to use our tools properly. And then in level 3, if you get to that level, what happens in level 3 is that your personal work is gone over with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that you're doing things exactly as Dolores would have. And level 3 certification is quite a process. I'm going through it right now. But I'll tell you what, I learned so much that I had forgotten about these little subtle nuances that I talk about. So definitely a very, very valuable experience. And yes, you will see differences within the different levels because a level 3 is going to have honed their technique just so. But all that being said, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. Whoever you are guided to have a session with is the perfect person for you. Whoever you resonate with is that guide who is going to take you to the place that your higher self wants to get you to. So whatever it is that you are ready for, your higher self is going to show you that way. In that regard, it does not matter what level practitioner you see. All that is just up to you. Okay, so that being said, there are many, many people who have learned this technique or have taken the class and have done other things with it, let's say. And what you will find out there online is all sorts of other things that somewhat look like QHHT. And they might even be using some of the words. One thing, and I'm just going to say this, QHHT has no limits. Endless, infinite possibilities. There are no limits to this technique. Never was. So there is no reason to ever go beyond it. How do you go beyond infinity? Beyond limitless? So let me tell you what happens when we learn this technique. And all of us do it. All of us do it. No one's immune to it. I did it. We all do it. So you learn this and you start practicing. And the first few, hopefully, are really easy. My first one was amazing. And I'll tell you, I barely did it right. But this woman went completely out, had the most amazing session and got healing from it. So great first experience. Great few first experiences for me. But then it starts getting more difficult. And you start questioning. You start questioning, does this really work? So it's funny how we start questioning, well, does this technique really work? Instead of questioning ourselves, saying, am I doing this right? Right? So because we're human, many of us, I'm going to say a high 90-something percentage of us go to the place of, well, this isn't working all by itself. Okay, so then what happens? Then we feel like we need to add things, take things out, say things differently, switch it up in a whole bunch of different ways because we think it's not working right. Yeah, wrong. Wrong. I definitely, when I went through this, I thought, well, what if I do this and this? No. What was really going on is that I didn't have a full grasp of exactly all the subtle nuances of how this technique worked. There are so many subtle nuances. There are layers and layers of things that happen during a session. And there are tools that if you use them properly, always work. But you have to use the tools properly. And so what I see out there in Interland is a bunch of practitioners who are doubting what they've learned because they're not using the tools in the most appropriate way possible, in the way that Dolores taught them. And here's what's really funny. You get it all. You get it all in level 1. She tells you everything you need to know. But we're human. And we think somehow we know better. And here's what's funny to me. I'm a novice just learning a technique, right? Back in 2013, just learning this. And who am I to be like, oh, this is wrong. I got to switch this up. Really? 40 years of honing a technique. And who am I to come in as a novice and question all that? Questioning the master as a novice is that one huge novice mistake. But we all do it because we have to learn. So it's a beautiful thing in full circle. But we can't stay there. If we stay there, then we're not doing the service. And I'll tell you what, if you can hear all this, you might be able to see it. If you can hear all the passion in my voice about this, because I am so serious about upholding the integrity of this technique. It is so important to me that we as practitioners practice exactly the way Dolores taught us to. Because if we're doing it in any other way, we're not doing her technique. It's not QHHT if you're not doing it the way she taught it. Okay, so now that we've gotten clear on that, I want to talk about how different people's QHHT experiences can be. And again, this fully has everything to do with what your higher self knows that you are ready for or not. So you're always going to be guided to the right practitioner. So often when people listen to Dolores talk about, now, if you don't know anything about Dolores, she did pass back in 2014. So her videos, there's multiple videos online where you can watch her and listen to her lectures. But she talked about when she would put people into trance, how they would go out and then they would wake up not remembering anything. And so many people expect for that to happen in their session. But what we're finding as practitioners over the years now is that that's happening less and less. And it's for a very good reason. So as we're moving into this new earth, as we're all ascending, Our right and left hemispheres of our brains are starting to work together more easily. The communication is able to occur more easily. And so we're able to be aware, yet also be having full on dreamscape movie going on in our head. So such a beautiful thing, because when you experience that, what you learn is this voice, this higher self voice that you're hearing in your session, because you're aware of it. Now you can take that back into your everyday life. It's such a beautiful thing. This technique teaches us how to work with, how to listen to, how to trust our higher self. That is my absolute favorite thing about this. Because yes, we can get immediate healing, but what we also get are the tools to help us along our personal journey. And it really just depends on how much we want to take the responsibility to do the work, our own personal work. This is a never-ending journey. There will always be work to do. And it's our responsibility to do it. Nobody heals us but us. So when we can be in touch with our higher self and get the right messages and the right understandings, then we got it. And life becomes completely magical. And that's how this technique is and can be a magic pill. Now, some people are more auditory and less visual. And so if that's you and you go to have a session, you might not see as many visuals as clearly and as vividly as somebody who is a very visual person. But because you're auditory, you're going to hear it all. Then there's also the sensations that you feel in your body. This intense energy that is present during a session sometimes is felt as a vibration in your body. That right there is the most undeniable feeling ever. You can't create it. You can't make it up. Sometimes people think that they're making up the things that they see in their sessions. And that's okay. But also, you have to consider, why would I be making this specific thing up? There are always messages in it. Always a lesson to be learned. And the way those messages come are different for different people. And different people have different experiences. And it's all what you're supposed to have. It's all what your higher self has intended for you. So it's all perfect, no matter how much doubt you're putting into it, how much disbelief. It's all perfect. It's all working out for you exactly as it's supposed to. So while we could probably talk about this for days on end, I think we are out of imaginary time for today. We'll revisit this at another time, maybe even tell some session stories, because those are always fun. I'm going to leave you with a song for today. This is Sat Song, made for this. Until next time, everyone, love you all.
And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talk with Brandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.
Take one step, then I take two more. I don't like leaving home, and it hurts when I close the door. Well, I begin to lose touch with everything. 4 wheels and 6 strings. Hope they can relate to the message I hope to bring. This is my dominion to knock down division. Hope to wipe eyes with the sound, bring vision. Negatives and positives, they all add up. I feel like it's always down, enough. every single scar in every situation helped to put me here and I arrived at my station. Blessed to feel the stress and be certain I'll survive. Blessed to take each breath, blessed to be alive. From the lowest of the lows to the ecstatic bliss, I know one thing and this is it, that I was made for this. I was made for this. To get the message right, every night I recite, pick apart the message that I took the time to write. Some don't pay attention and I start to overthink all my words, and then I struggle, then I start to sink into the song, close my eyes and I'm floating. Listen to the music, yes, it's poetry in motion. Back to reality, say yes, I'm really here. But do they really listen and do they really hear? One can only hope that this is not all in vain. And when I start to slip, refrain. Well, every single scar in every situation helped to put me here and I arrived at my station. Blessed to feel the stress and be certain I'll survive. Blessed to take each breath, blessed to be alive. From the lowest of the lows to the ecstatic bliss, I know one thing and this is it, that I was made for this. That I was made for this. All are called to learn, few were chose to lead. Spend my days in purgatory, somewhere in between. Keep my heart open to accept and receive everything the spirit has to teach that I need. From how to speak and how to sing, how to rally family and make this collective voice ring. Well, I give up giving and I stay in surrender. I am only man, I am only sender. I am only you, you are only me. We are only one, we are only we. And if I got the message wrong, I send apologies. But when I close my eyes, I see every single scar in every situation helped to put me here when I arrived at my station. Blessed to feel the stress and be certain I'll survive. Blessed to take each breath, blessed to be alive. From the lowest of the lows to the ecstatic bliss, I know one thing and this is it, that I was made for this. I was made